So what you see in my hand is the best bait finesse reel ever made so far in the 2022 Shimano Aldebaran BFS. It's a reel that has perfect performance out of the box, and today we're going to mess it all up by swapping out a lot of its very important parts for aftermarket ones. So let us begin. Now, in previous reel customization videos, I kind of laid all the parts out on the table to show you guys, but I'm going to do something different this time and reveal each part one at a time as they get put on the reel. Now, since the Aldebaran has such a strange color that really doesn't match up with a lot of other colors, hopefully it'll turn out as good as I envision it in my head. Alright, so the first part that needs to be replaced is going to be this drag star, and here is the drag star that it's getting replaced with, which is an Avail. So yeah, let me pull the handle off and get to replacing. Okay, so the handle is off, and you can see there's this black piece here, which you're definitely going to need as it's a part of the clicking drag system. So let's pull this drag star off. And okay, so when you're replacing a Shimano drag star, be very careful because there's a little piece in here, this little pin that's spring loaded, and it moves in and out of these little, I guess, holes in this plastic piece that give it the click sound. So you definitely don't want to lose that. But yeah, I don't want to lose this. I'm going to try to pull it out as carefully as possible. Ooh, I almost dropped it. Wow. Okay, there's the pin. I think the spring is still in there though. It's going to be a pain to get out. Actually, no, it's not. See, there's the little teeny tiny spring. I'm going to lay that right there. But yeah, here's the drag star I picked, the Avail S22 ALD. And I think right now on Hedgehog Studios, it's only like $30 something. The prices at Hedgehog Studios for these parts have been reduced, I guess, due to the weak yen, and they adjusted their prices. But yeah, look at that. And let's compare. So the Avail is slightly longer, at least the arms are. It's still silver. You see the place for the little click pin, but this is machined aluminum versus glorified graphite. So this is definitely an upgrade. Now, the great thing about this Avail drag star is that it's pretty much a direct swap, and let us put it on. Alright, we're going to put that little spring in. Hopefully this thing doesn't just decide to jump out of my hand. Yep, there we go. And here's that little piece. And wow, this thing is so small. If this thing fell, there would be no way. Oh shit. Whoo! If this thing fell to the carpet, there would be no way I would find it. So I'm gonna have to be really, really careful. Well, this part is getting me nervous, so I'm gonna do it off camera where I can see better. But of course, since we're replacing the drag star, we're also going to replace this handle, which is kind of on the short side even for bait finesse. And of course that means we're going to be replacing the knobs as well. So the handle that I got, no big surprise, is another Avail product. It's the LT handle, and as you can see, it's an 85 millimeter. Right, there's something else in here. I think it's the retainer nut, hopefully. Yeah. And of course the screws for the end of the knobs. But let's take a look at this handle. As you can see, it's silver. I didn't go for any kind of other different colors. It's got this beveling right here. It's very, very lightweight. But okay, let me put all this crap on and then I'm going to show you the knobs. So I forgot to show you guys the nut and nut retainer that I'm going to use, since I can't use the previous ugly plastic piece from Shimano. And I'm trying to decide on which nut I want. I think I'm going to go with the bright silver instead of the gunmetal. And then of course I got a retainer which I think is chrome. So hopefully it's going to look good against, I guess, the more gunmetal look of the handle and drag star. Alright, so hopefully I got that down good enough. It's working. So let's put on that retainer, and then I'm going to show you these awesome knobs I bought. Okay, so as you can see, the screw for the nut retainer is also silver. So are you sensing a trend here? There we go. Look at that. That looks so good even without knobs. So yeah, I think I like the shiny nut instead of the gunmetal. Now there are colored spool tension knobs for this 22 Aldebaran, but I opted to stay with the stock one because I don't think it gets any better than the stock when it comes to just a plain looking spool tension knob. Unfortunately, there's no, ZPI carbon offering or anything like that. So yeah, I opted to stay with the stock spool tension knob. So let me show you these wicked knobs that I bought. Now, the first set of knobs I was gonna buy were the clear acrylic knobs from Avail, which I'm gonna put a picture up on the screen for you guys. And I still might go that route with another reel in the future, but I decided on these instead. Boom. These are called Taken knobs, and these are from Korea. These are not Japanese or JDM. And I love these knobs because they're super high quality. They were super expensive, but they're also very suited for the Aldebaran because they're so small and thin. They're perfect for finesse applications. So you can see they're packaged very well, and each knob costed about, I think, $26 or $27 each before shipping, and the shipping was not free because it's coming from South Korea. So these knobs are very, very expensive, but once I got them, I'm glad that I made this choice. Alright, wow, very shiny. Almost blinded me there. Of course, it comes with all the accessories needed. Looks like some O-rings, a couple of bearings, and some spacers. But you can find these knobs only on eBay, and they come in all sorts of different colors as well. But let me pull one out for you guys. Wow. The laser engraved logo there. This is super high quality. Let's see what this says. Taken special parts. But you can see they're very, very small, but they have the flat surfaces machined in, which I prefer over like a thin round knob. So yeah, let's waste no more time and install these knobs before we get to the other special pieces. Okay, so we got one knob on, and these are definitely some high quality knobs. In fact, I might go ahead and buy some extra colors, but I think these knobs are heavier than stock, and they're probably going to add a little bit of weight to the Aldebaran, but that's okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I put the knobs on, because it's very easy, because on eBay Taken gives you a diagram of what to do, and I figured I'd just show you guys with this second knob. Okay, there's the pieces. Alright, so I'm going to move this. This is a spacer in case you want to use these knobs for DAIWA. Okay, so it's very simple. You get one bearing. Oop, that's not a bearing. Yeah, that's a bearing. Okay, you take one bearing, you slide it down, and now of course it comes with shims, which I'm gonna have to play with off camera later on. But then you take your knob, you slide it down, and then it comes with a 1mm spacer. I think the spacer or washer is strictly for Shimano, and there it is right there. And you put that down inside, and of course it's going to fall in like that. And then you use your last bearing Now what I did next was I used this little black spacer that came with the avail handle, and then I put it right on top, because without it there was a pretty big gap and the knob was sliding up and down. And then you take your screw, and this is the screw that came with the handle. Ooh, I'm missing something. You may want to add some of those shims that came with it, but I'm going to do that later on, so this video won't take too long. And then you take this O-ring and you put it in this groove in the knob end cap. This is what's going to keep this O-ring from popping out because it doesn't screw on. There we go. And it just pops in, and then boom. Look at that. Now I did lose that buttery smoothness, which I'm going to talk about here at the end of the video, but we got 2 more pieces, and let me show you what they are. So as much as I love the stock MGL spool on this Aldebaran, it's gotta go. And that's because I'm gonna use this particular reel to try to cast something even lighter than a trout magnet, which I'm gonna go over in a separate video. So right now, as far as aftermarket spools go for the Aldebaran BFS, there's only 3, and I have 2 of them. Now the first one is from KTF, and I passed on that particular spool and chose a different JDM spool due to the fact that KTF decided to go with a short spool shaft, which I think, while it does save weight a little bit, the weight savings is in the wrong place and it doesn't actually give you any kind of performance benefit. So I opted for the other JDM option, which is the Mighty Avail 22AL D22R. And I think this spool comes in 3 colors: black, gold, and the silver. And as you can see, I obviously chose the silver. But then we have this spool from China, the Mighty KKR, which I'm gonna leave this spool for a different video. So we're gonna swap the stock spool for the Avail. Now I think this Avail spool weighs something like only 3.5 grams according to Avail's website, but I'm gonna put up the actual number for you guys that it says. But let's take a look at this spool. It does have a bearing, but yeah, this thing is extremely ported. Spool shaft is made of aluminum, and we're gonna go ahead and weigh this thing. So obviously you can see I got my spool scale out, and let's compare these spools. Now this spool, according to Avail, is supposed to weigh 4.7 grams with the bearing. It feels really light, but even though I'm not pressing too hard, it feels really sturdy. Like it won't just crumple up under some moderate pressure. Now the one thing I'm going to hate about swapping out the stock spool is that even though I've complained about it in the past, the O-ring silent tune system on Shimano reels is what gives this 22 Aldebaran its unreal and unmatched casting experience versus other reels. And you can see there's no O-ring anywhere on the Avail spool. Now the bearings look about the same, but let's get a weight. So about 6.5 grams for the stock spool, and about 4.8 grams for the Avail. And I'm tempted to take this bearing off and get a true weight. Should I do that? I don't want to risk scratching this spool up, but yeah, I'm gonna take the bearing off and get a true weight on this spool. Okay, so I removed the bearing and it came off actually pretty easy. And without the bearing, we're looking at 4.2 grams. Now that's kind of disappointing because I was hoping for something in the high 3 grams, but it's okay. That's what I got this spool for. So yeah, I'm gonna put the bearing back on and we're gonna slide it into the Aldebaran and see how it looks. But before I do that, I just want to show you guys the Avail spool is slightly shallower, so Avail recommends getting the extra little magnets, which I have already, but I'm gonna try to run this spool without the extra magnets first. Alright guys, here we go. Boom! Look at that! Doesn't that look so much better than stock? Now, yeah, we got this black piece here that doesn't look that bad, but yeah, look at that. The Avail spool looks so sick in this Aldebaran in silver. Alright, so we put the spool in and we have one more piece. Now here's the final piece to this customization, and it is a screw. And let me pull this screw out. Now all this customization has been focused on the handle side of the Aldebaran as well as the spool, but this screw is going to replace this screw right here, the stock black screw from the factory. And I was hoping it would be a little bit brighter, but let's see what it looks like. Now it should be a straightforward swap, just unscrew it and then screw the other one back in. There were no specific instructions on Hedgehog Studios, so let me grab my flathead Okay, so I don't want to risk scratching up the screw on either the stock or the avail screw, so I put some tape over my flathead screwdriver. Hopefully that'll work. And yeah, it's pretty easy to take this out. I'm gonna try to keep the brake dial from popping out so I don't mess the settings up, get the numbers misaligned. Okay, so boom, check that out. Much better. Much better than that stock black screw. And yep, the brake dial still turns. But oh yeah, so much better looking than stock. And I'm gonna let you guys see a before and after of the 22 Shimano Aldebaran. So once again, we have the stock Aldebaran, and then we have the tuned Aldebaran. Stock Aldebaran handle, knobs, and drag star. Tuned Aldebaran with aftermarket handle, knobs, and drag star. Stock Aldebaran MGL3 spool. Tuned avail aftermarket shallower lighter spool. Stock Aldebaran brake dial screw. Tuned Aldebaran brake dial screw. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section. Is it too much silver? Should I have went with maybe some gold, like with the knobs maybe, or the drag star? I actually personally love it, and once again, it's hard to find color pieces that will go good with a reel this color, so obviously I stuck with pretty much silver for everything. Now I will say that the reel now feels a little bit unbalanced. You can definitely feel the weight of these knobs, as well as a longer handle and metal drag star. That's not as bad as that Surinoi XF50, but you can definitely tell the balance is a little bit off. And for those of you who have Shimanos and you're contemplating doing something like this, just keep in mind that when you mess with a Shimano, especially if you replace the soft stock knobs with aftermarket knobs, you're gonna lose pretty much a lot of that Shimano buttery smoothness. And I can definitely say that's the case with these knobs as well. So keep that in mind if you're thinking of swapping out anything on your current Shimano. But hopefully this reel will perform and cast this specific lure that I got from AliExpress that weighs even less than a trout magnet. But that's going to be for another video. Alright guys, thanks a lot.